Okay. Um, all right, what's happening, plebs? We're here with another Glasgow Yugioh podcast slash um, talk show, whatever you want to call it. I'm joined here, as you can see the beautiful faces on the screen, with greatness. I'm here with Team Complexity Card Gaming, and well, if you guys want to introduce yourself, who wants to go first? Tell us about yourselves, who you are.
Time is
Joshua,
you
you
go
will
first.
start.
Okay,
You can
okay,
start.
okay. I'm Joshua Schmidt. I'm 20 years old. I live in Germany and I play for Complexity Card Gaming. Yeah. Is there anything
All
else
right.
they need to know?
So,
I guess we need to know who that handsome man underneath you is.
all right. So I'm Themis Gizis. I'm from Greece. I currently live in Athens, and I'm moving in Germany in the summer. I'm on CCG also almost a year now, and I love my family.
Is your family
Okay,
like
that's all.
your mom and dad, or like
No,
Joshua
no,
and
no. My
Eugen?
family CCG.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Joshua, he's like the number one fanboy. So much love.
All right, so I'm just going to bring out the ban list really quick. So our first topic of discussion for this first 15 minutes, and we're going to be discussing, you know, we've just come into a new format, fresh, at the YCS at the weekend, but I guess it's kind of irrelevant now what happened at the YCS. That's unfortunate. But yeah, so you guys have probably had a lot of time to think about the ban list and decide on yourselves what you think are the best decks going forward, what you guys think is good for the game. I've heard Joshua in his stream a few times discussing what he thinks about it, but I guess Themis, maybe if you want to start us off, give us your first impressions. Like, what were you thinking when you first tell me what you were doing actually, because that's always interesting. Because I was on the toilet when the ban list dropped.
That's the best place in the world to be. So I was in school. I was having a class about logistics, and I saw Robin's message on the team chat. It was like, "This is the ban list," and I was like, "What the hell is going on? Is this really the ban list?" And immediately I was like, I was in the class, and I just walked out of the room. I was like, "Miss, I have to go outside. I need to be on my phone." It was so funny. And yeah, for starters, I'm gonna tell you what my thoughts the moment I was scrolling down the band list. Um, the first thing I saw the performables, of course, which were like, all right, we expect this, of course. And then I saw wavering guys, and I was like, okay, I personally didn't like this because wavering guys is the reason why pendulum decks can play. And then I saw Chicken Game. I was like, hell yeah, thank you, Konami, for doing this. Really, thank you. Moving down the list, I saw Thousand Eyes of Streets. I was like, okay, it's fine. Like really, it's fine. There was no reason for the card to be on the ban. It would be on the bad cards. And I actually missed the Ptolemaios being banned, and I rechecked it like an hour later if Ptolemaios was in the ban list. And yeah, Two Allure was something fine. Um, I didn't like the two Itele. I prefer to be limited or banned. I like the reasoning. Um, Generally, my first thoughts were like this ban list is bad because we're waiting so much time for something like really irrelevant. But afterwards, after some days, I realized that the ban list is fine because the really bad deck of the format that was making all the other decks being degenerate was the Pendulum deck, and the ban list looked more like they were trying to kill the pendulum mechanic or something like that. Just trying to correct it because the pendulum mechanic is not good for the game.
It's
Um,
interesting because they
but
hit Wisdom Eye as well, and that deck wasn't doing anything.
yeah, yeah, uh-huh. I think Wisdom Eye and Wavering was because of that, because they wanted to take away people from the pendulum mechanic and maybe just bring it out later on when they will have fixed it.
And
it
they
seems like
fixed it after they've like
yeah,
balanced it out.
yeah. I mean, like it's good to have extra mechanics in the game. Of course, extra mechanics mean more options. But the main thing with the pendulum mechanic is that it's like the meals of BA. Even if you misplay, you have so much extra to get. So it's like even if you misplay, you have a huge extra deck, so you can still just slam everything in the next turn. If you think of it, it's like now all the decks that have remained, except from Cosmo in some situations, they're not decks that can kill you in one turn. They usually need to set up in a turn and then kill you. But Pendulum could kill you in the same turn that would also set up.
So I think like the
So the
best
decks that
analogy I heard about pendulums was I was interviewing Adam Belaradsky, who won the YCS Vegas, I think. He said that I thought it was quite funny. He said that people bitched so long about Soul Charge last year the year before that in hat format. People bitched about Soul Charge for so long, and now Konami released a mechanic that is Soul Charge built into it once per turn. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. So I've written down some of the points of yours that I want to come back on in a few minutes. But Joshua, you're up next. Where were you when the ban list came out? What were you doing? And tell me your initial thoughts.
I think I was playing Hearthstone. I think I was at home.
Nice.
And because last week was my last week of holidays before uni started again, I was just chilling at home. Because I made that stream on Thursday, right? Because everyone was saying like the ban list is always going to come out on Thursday, so I made like that countdown stream, and then Konami fooled me and released it on Friday morning or something like that, right the day after I streamed about it. So yeah, I was just at home. I was playing Hearthstone, so I stopped playing Hearthstone and played Yu-Gi-Oh instead for the day. It's like, yeah, I mean, the ban list is, in my opinion, it's fine. And also my first reaction was that it's fine. It's just like it's missing a few important parts. That's the thing about it. Like the hits that they did, they are justified. The things that I brought back, they are justified. They just missed out on Monarchs and on Strike. That's the only thing. It's like the
so
short form. Like the hits to Pendulum are fine. The Pendulum mechanic was too strong. The deck was too strong, especially because Pendulum being once per turn, like the player who gets one more turn, the player who goes first has such an inherent advantage that it makes the dice roll way too important. That's just the mechanic has it built in itself because it's once per turn, and because it's so powerful, whoever goes first does it once more than the opponent does it, and does it before the opponent does it. That's why Pendulum is so unbalanced. And so they hit Pendulum, it's all good. They hit Cosmo a little bit, not enough, I guess, but Cosmo sucks anyway, so who cares? But they didn't hit Monarchs, and Monarchs is degenerate. Monarchs is bad for the game. They should have hit it. And the same goes for Strike. Strike's too strong.
Okay.
Other than that, it's a good one.
Okay, so I'll come back to your points in a second. I'm gonna go over to Themis now. So you brought up some points here. You said you thought that Wavering Eyes was an unjustified hit. Now I think that's very interesting because I think a lot of players in the community think that Wavering Eyes was the most unfair, sack, broken, stupid card ever printed for the Pendulum mirror match. People hated that card so much because it was so unfair in the mirror match. If you resolve Wavering Eyes, you just win. So I think it's actually quite interesting that you actually don't were sad to see it get banned. I understand Wavering Eyes is a combo card. It fills up your extra deck. You know, it makes your power plays even bigger. But when it comes to the mirror match, you know, a lot of people hated that card. So, you know, what do you think about that?
All right, so the point is exactly what you said in the mirror match. Outside of the mirror match, Wavering Eyes serve the purpose of always helping you have stability in your deck. Like, playing with one monkey board was not that relevant because you always had Wavering Eyes to serve it. Yeah, in the mirror match, it was not good, all right? That was the main problem. But in other matchups, your opponent most of the time just didn't care about Wavering Eyes. They cared only when you chained it on the Twin Twisters or something like that. It's like it's the way you see. I see the card as for deck building purposes. For deck building purposes, the Wavering was the only card that that was keeping the entire deck together. It was a card that made irrelevant the monkey board on one. So yeah, it's like it's the only card that allows you to continue playing and build your deck around strategies that are unlimited. So now you have way too many consistency problems.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah,
fair points.
like
Josh, you want to jump in?
yeah. The thing is, like, I get the point. It's like the card is totally fair in anything but the mirror match, and it's kind of true that it kills
Do
a
you
big
really
part
think it's
of the
fair?
in other matchups.
Yeah, I mean,
Shame on
like,
fishes.
you're filling up
In
your
other
extra
matchups, it's
deck,
fair, yeah.
you're searching out your keyboard or
No,
Yeah,
no.
it's
motherboard.
really good. It's good, yeah, but it's not something that makes the deck unbalanced in other matchups, I think.
Okay.
It's like it's I mean it's rota, yeah, with some upside sometimes with downsides because you have to get it on the line, right? You have to play two scales. You have to have two scales. You only get one search out of it. You have to set up scales again. It's like I think in other matchups it would be fine. Like it was not the problem basically. The card was it wouldn't have been banned if it was only for other matchups basically. Like it's only banned because it creates that real variance in the mirror match, and that's why I think it's good at its banned. Like, sure, Pendulum might not be the best deck anymore, but I don't think I want a format where the best deck has that card in it, and I have to play mirror matches with that because that's one of the reasons why I hated playing Pendulum in big events.
Yeah.
That's so true, actually. I mean, it's really good that now the best deck is not something that that has a card
Yeah.
that everyone plays in the main deck, and Yoto loses this card.
Yeah.
And that's why I said in the beginning that Pendulum was one of the degenerate decks. It created so many problems in the format.
Yeah, it's true.
Mm. Okay, before we move on to the next section really quickly, Joshua, you mentioned that you said Monarchs are pretty degenerate and unhealthy, which I personally disagree with. I think it's mostly domain, which is unfair. I think the deck itself is probably
That's true.
okay.
Yeah. That's a fair point. Yeah. That's right.
But you
I
also
actually
brought
played
up,
extra deck myself last
yeah.
format.
But you brought up Strike, and I thought it was very interesting that you thought Strike should be hit on the ban list. Yeah, I personally think that traps are not very good. They're very slow. The
No,
game
they're
in
not.
2016 is very, very fast. Everyone's playing combo decks. Everyone's playing, 2-turn decks. So Strike is really, it's good. It's very powerful, but in the end of the day, it's still a trap. So I personally, I'm of the opinion I think it's fine at 3. But do you really think that Strike is like, so powerful to the point it needs put on the ban list?
I guess it might come just because that we had that Pendulum format just now, and against Pendulum it's super broken, right? So maybe the impression just comes from that. So maybe it's fine. If Pendulum disappears, I think Strike would be not that much of a problem. Like you're right, traps suck. Like the last time I topped an event with traps in my main deck was like maybe 2014 or something. Like really. Like mermaids was it, and that was only like spheres. So like traps suck. Yeah, that's right. Strike is all right against everything that is not Pendulum, I suppose. So if Pendulum disappears from the format, I guess I won't mind Strike being at 3. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
You agree, Themis?
I think it's kind of weird. The thing is that it depends on from which deck's perspective you see it. It's like, all right, let's say you're a Cosmo player. Sorry for saying this to you, but for this purpose, I have to say that you are a Cosmo player, and Strike actually hurts you a lot, really a lot, because your ceiling is low. From the other side, there's like BA, and BA like really don't give a damn about Strike. So it totally depends on how the format works. In the previous format, Strike was really bad card. It was really, really, really bad card. But now I think we will see how the format progresses.
I mean, the thing is also
It's
like with that reasoning, you could say like Warning could be at 3, and Compulsory could be at 3, and Torrential could be at 3, but they're not because like they're just solid good traps, and you don't want people to have traps which can like react to almost anything because that makes traps a little better than
That's how-
sucking. They still suck
Yeah.
most of the time, but if you have a trap that basically counters everything, which is essentially what Strike does, you're going to see decks who's still going to play triple strike, and it's still going to be annoying. I don't know. Like I think the power level of strike is definitely higher than Compulse or Book of Moon or Torrential. Therefore, I would have not minded seeing hit.
And based on what you just said is if you see on our format, we have all these cards limited, but in OCG they have Torrential on 3, the same as with Compulsory, and still Book of Moon, and they have Harpy's Feather Duster and Dexton because they have all these cards.
So
because the trap level is too high.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see how OCG play, because despite this, I think OCG still don't play too many traps in their like best decks. I'm not sure. I'm not certain. But sticking to the TCG, moving on to the next section for our next 15 minutes here. Basically, I wanted to talk about, now that we've got the ban list out of the way, we've discussed what we think, was fair to be hit, what should have been hit, etc., etc. We kind of covered most of that. So going forward now, we're coming to the end of regional season, and soon we shall be going to the big time, the nationals, and eventually Euros. So it's pretty much guaranteed that we're going to be playing with these decks and this list for Europe. And I wonder if you guys, like, really quickly, have you guys checked out Shining Victories and what's to come in the future?
I have a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so a bit of an idea. So at least at this stage, I think is Shining Victories legal for German Nats and Greek Nats?
Yes.
For
German Nats,
definitely.
Okay. So I guess we might as well talk about Shining Victories as well, because I was going to just talk about the meta just now, but I guess we should probably take Shining Victories into consideration. So very, very big cards coming out in Shining Victories. Winter Blossom, of course, someone's saying it in the chat right now, is the big card. But going forward for the national season, what do you guys think are going to be the best decks for this? Of course, you guys are in a team. You probably don't want to tell us what you think is the best deck, but
no, it's fine. We can talk. We can talk.
We can talk. You hear this stream? You hear this live? This is exclusive. They're talking for us.
All right. The main thing is that right now we still haven't started testing about our nationals. The first nationals that our team has is the Austrian nationals that our new addition, Longdao, is going to play at. So we're going to have to start helping him. But right now, we still haven't started officially testing, brainstorming about stuff, just throwing ideas randomly and such stuff. So we can go back to the main point.
Yeah, so I guess I'm going to take over. So my first impression, to be honest, is that the best deck is neither going to be Cosmo, neither going to be Burning Abyss, or is not going to be Monarchs. I personally think it's not going to be any of the three. Because none of these three decks actually has the potential to be, I think, the best deck in the format. Like, Burning Abyss has always been in that position to be, like, close to the best deck, like the second best deck, because it was good against the deck that was supposed to be the best. Like Necros format, where Necros was definitely the best deck, but Burning Abyss was viable. And like last format, Draco Pals was definitely the most powerful deck, but Burning Abyss was able to beat it fairly consistently. And the same goes for decks like Monarch and Cosmo. They are usually only good because they beat the decks that are supposed to be the best deck. And only because Draco Pals kind of like is expected to disappear now, I don't think that makes the three second best decks from before the best deck now. I think there's going to be something with more power than these decks. It's going to be something old or something new from Shining Victory. Something is going to be better, because those decks are too straightforward, in my opinion.
Blue Eyes?
Maybe. I tested it. It's not bad. It just depends if we get the alternative. I'm not sure if we do.
Yeah, that's the issue. I don't think we actually get
I love Blue Eyes.
I mean, from what I've seen, I think there's one slot open in the OCG only we get, right?
Yeah, true.
In the spoilers, I think everything is confirmed except for one slot, and I guess it would make sense if they would have given us, if they would give us the alternative Blue Eyes.
Hard to say.
Because like they won't sell the other Blue Eyes if we don't get this one, because the deck's not good enough without.
It's actually not a deck without an alternative. And also, if you look at how the TCG and OCG have moved, both lists are getting closer and closer. and both lists just trade stuff from one to the other. So I think they want us to have similar formats. So that's why they should. I think they will give us the alternative dragon.
They
But
might.
also, Blue Eyes is not a legit deck until Heroes because Gospel, the spell that brings them light from the graveyard, is not released
Ah,
until
yeah,
the
that's
day
right.
before Heroes. Yeah. So I think that's out of the equation for the national season.
I don't know if you guys keep up with the American players, but Patrick Hoban, very famous player, of course, doing a bit of a curveball at the last YCS, playing a extra deck
Overdrive.
Gemknight Brilliant Fusion Monarch, and that's very interesting. So going forward, what do you guys think about Monarchs?
That's something
Because
that Norman already played, like,
Exactly.
at
Yes.
Norman did it first. We knew it already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
No, that's actually
Norman did
something.
it first.
Norman played that at YCS Vegas, and I played it at Cologne, the CCG major. Because I think, like, okay,
Wait,
to the
would you
last
play
referring,
Brilliant Fusions?
I cut Brilliant Fusions. No, I played Teleports
Yeah.
instead for
So it's
Cologne.
not the same.
No, Norman found the Brilliant Fusion stuff. Either way, I think referring to the last statement, I think Domain Monarchs is not going to be the best deck in this format for sure. What I see the potential in to be maybe the best deck is extra deck Monarchs. That deck's powerful. If that deck doesn't break, you don't beat it. You just don't. You can't OTK it because they have Prime and Ether in your turn. It's impossible to OTK, and you just won't beat it. It's impossible. If they don't break, they win.
So I was
really strong.
I was personally looking at the format going forward, and coming to realize that Cosmo, I don't know if you guys have seen the new Winter Blossom card. I don't know if you guys have
Yeah,
seen
I know.
Fire King Island, but I think that
Yeah.
even without the new support, which bear in mind, of course, we're still going to get a whole new wave of Cosmo support, which might be shit, but it could be broken because we are probably going to get Darth Vader. We're probably going to get Star Destroyer.
The
So
Death Star.
I think
Death Star,
Monarchs,
yeah.
even without the support, I don't know if you guys have checked out Fire King Island, but this is something that's been hyped
Yeah, I
a
have.
lot recently. And some of the plays that I've seen Cosmo do with Fire King Island, absolutely crazy. So what do you guys think about that?
I have
Well,
no
I'm
idea
not a
what
fan
this
of
card does, so...
It destroys a monster in your hand.
Oh,
Do
okay,
you
I'm
have to
gonna
have a target
Google it.
for it?
Uh,
Do you have to play Fire?
yeah, you play
Yeah.
2 Yaksha or 2 baby Garunics in your main deck. So you destroy a Dark Destroyer in your hand, and then you add a Yaksha Garunix from your deck to your hand. So it basically means you're not relying on your normal summon.
Yeah, I guess so. But the thing about that is, like, every engine now that contains field spells is kind of weird, a little bit, because, like, you cannot play chicken game anymore to even out the odds with terraforming. Like,
Yeah,
if you
Chicken Game was a bit strange.
previously wanted to play, if you wanted to play any field spell, you could just splash it and play like 2 or 3 terraformings, 1 or 2 of the field spell, and 2 chicken games, and you could always cycle chicken game if you didn't want the field spell. And now, if you draw a field spell, I guess in Cosmo it might be fine because you have the Cosmo Town as well, so you can play like 2 or 3 terraformings on like 2 Cosmo Towns and 1 or 2 Fire King Islands, I guess. But still, if you draw multiple terraformings, it's not going to be able to cycle that well, like it was before.
For me personally, I don't want to play a deck that loses to Winter Blossom. So as soon as Shivi drops for me, I'm going to sell my
Yeah.
Burning Abyss. There's no way I'm going to be playing that deck with Winter Blossom being a card, for example.
Yeah, that's actually what I also said earlier in my stream, is like the only reason why I'm like not mad at Konami for not hitting BA at all is Winter Blossom. I think Burning Abyss is just going to be a problem that solves itself once Winter Blossom comes out. There was no need to hit it this ban list because Winter Blossom is actually like it's worse than anything ever before. I think it's like worse than Mistake was to Necros. It's worse than Macro was to Mermails. It's just like it's if that card hits, you lose the game, and there's no way to out it because like against Necros, you flip Mistake, they MST, they still win, right? If you Winter Blossom Burning Abyss, it's just done.
And see, you were advocating for Strike to get put to 1, so that's the only defense that Burning Abyss has.
I guess, but that's not really an out, right? You cannot really count on outing a card that,
but it's
like,
the,
it screws you over
literally the
turn
only
1.
chance Burning Abyss have to survive against Winter Blossom.
But it screws you over turn 1 most of the time. Like, if it's there, it's mostly in the opening hand, right?
Yeah, that's true. Have we? Is there any other decks we've missed? I guess we didn't really talk about pendulums. Like, do you guys really think that they're dead?
No.
Right now, yes. Actually, by dead, I mean it's not a deck that you can play at the YCS and expect yourself to have good results. But when the starter deck for the year is getting released with the Oda stuff, I think it's going to be playable again.
What is that about the Odd-Eye stuff? I haven't particularly looked at it too much. Do you know?
There's one scale 8 which you can search with Sky Iris, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think there's one lower scale also. There's for sure the high scale, but I'm not sure for the lower scale. But generally, yeah, it's like extra search choices from Sky Iris, and Sky Iris is an awesome card.
Yeah, Sky Iris is good, yeah. Especially now that wavering is gone, which was the best way to destroy your own cards. Like, one way to make Pendulum good is to have a mechanic to destroy your own cards while, like, profiting from it, which Sky Iris does very nicely. But, like, in general, my opinion on Pendulum is that people are, like, the deck is not dead. The mechanic is broken, and there's a lot of Pendulum support out there which is not used at the moment because Draco Slayers were just better. I just think that a lot of people are approaching it the wrong way, because I don't think you can approach the deck as just before. You just play Draco Pals and you try to replace the cards which are gone, because that's not going to work. Because there's no way you replace Face Off and Wavering and you, like, keep the same power level as before, the same consistency as before. The problem with that is that you have to compete with decks which have pretty much the same power level as exactly before, like Monarchs no hit, Burning Abyss no hit, Cosmo lose a teleport. Like, the other decks stay as strong as they were before, but your deck, if you replace Waverings and Face-Offs, is not going to stay the same. So you have to find a different approach to it. You have to find a different way to play Pendulums, and there is other ways to play Pendulum. There's Magic Specters, there's Magicians, there's Odd Eyes, and that stuff is potent in my opinion. But because Performer Piles itself are a broken engine. Like, Performer Piles still have everything they need. They still have Sorcerer, which is the best way to play Pendulum for sure. They still have the Searchers, they still have the Lizard Draw, Guitar, all that stuff. You just need to combine it with something new, something else, in my opinion.
And they still have Pendulum Rising, which also helps as a pseudo wavering ice to bring Sorcerer.
Yeah, but like I said, you don't want to replace all that stuff with pseudo cards. Like, you replace it with like Pendulum Rising, Armageddon. It's gonna be weird. It's not gonna be the same as before.
Interesting. Have you guys looked at any other potential decks? I guess probably like rogue sleeper decks. One thing that people were mentioning a lot actually in the chat. So there's 2 new cards coming out which help. I think 3 new cards maybe. That help a very old deck, shall we say, an old friend that everyone used to hate, and that's Yosenju, because now we have the new card of Demise, which lets you draw 2.
I hate it.
And then we have Rippling Mirror Force, and we have Pot of Cupidity, I think, which are all 3 of them are legal for Nats. I'm not sure about Pot of Cupidity, but I know Card of Demise is. So have you guys thought about maybe decks like this?
No. And I won't.
No.
Actually, we were trolling Ogen in the morning today because we're like, you have to play Yosenju and go
Yosenju
win Nationals. You didn't win. Yeah, Yosenju Artifact with Card of Demise. To win the Nationals, you didn't win last year because you lost to Yosenjus. It was so funny.
Other rogue decks, potentially like Mermails. Have you guys thought about them?
Yeah, that's more something. That's more like the stuff that I would consider. Like, the thing with stuff like Yosenju Artifact is it's the same thing as with decks like Burning Abyss or something like that. Those decks are just not powerful enough to be the best deck in the format. Like as soon as you're going to start playing your Senjus and stuff like that, people are just going to find a more powerful deck and just going to flip Decree on you, or you're just going to miss out the right back row. And that's what always been the thing with like even decks like Satellar and stuff. They were good, but they were never the best deck. It's just they're not going to be the best deck ever in Yu-Gi-Oh again.
But
like
you can
the way
normal
Yu-Gi-Oh
summon
works.
5 times, man.
Yeah, but why normal summon if you can special summon? It's like you don't know. You don't.
All right.
Who
Why
needs normal
play
summon?
something that limits yourself? Something
Okay.
with low ceiling.
So last question, I guess, just for fun, before we move on to the question and answer section with the chat, guys. If you're in the chat, this is your last chance to send your questions over to ask.fm, and I'll be reading. I will prioritize the questions that people sent through Ask.fm. So please leave those right now. Head on over. But just before we move on, really quickly, what are you guys' predictions for Euros? What do you think are going to win Euros?
Wow, that's a tough one. That's really a tough one.
It is tough. It is
Well,
tough.
I'm not gonna predict Burning Abyss, and I will not predict Cosmo because those are the decks that are not the best deck for sure. Like I know that for sure. The only deck that out of the 3 right now could be the best is Extra Deck Monarchs, and for the rest I don't know. Whatever will be found, I think there will be a deck that will be powerful enough to beat all the other 3 because the other 3 are really easy to beat usually.
What I wanted to point out earlier, but I didn't got the chance, is that I also agree that Extra Deck Monarchs is a really good deck. But the reason I agree with this is that it has a lot of potential for innovation, because it's something that it has started now being developed, and it's not that popular. And I mean, like seriously, you have the rank 8, rank 5, and rank 6 engines, which are not common to be used. So there are so many things that you can start searching and finding new stuff. So the key to winning Euros, most of the time to the past, was finding the deck that people were not expecting, or find card combinations that also people were not expecting. So
Magician Shark.
all right, yeah, that's true. Magician Shark. I mean, like, if you look at the past, that format was really bad, but that format showed us something, that there was a sleeper wind up, and it was a sleeper because no one was playing the correct list, and then when the right list popped out, it dominated everything. So if you put in these equations the Monarchs, the Exotic Monarch, something that has not been developed and has started now being under development. So it could be something that actually something that has the potential to win Euros more than BAs, because BA is a deck that has been developed for like since the half of 2014. So 1 year and a half.
No more
2
innovation,
years.
basically.
Actually, yeah. I mean, okay, it gets more cards, but that's what it gets. It doesn't get. Yeah, you can say.
It's also really hard to innovate Burning Abyss simply because they are so restricted by themselves, right? Like, what are you gonna combine with Burning Abyss, because they all die, right? It's like Speedroids is like the only thing that's come out that is even compatible with it. Everything else just like it's not possible. Right.
On the other hand, Monarchs do not limit you that much. Okay, they want you to play some engine cards, but it's really up to you if you want to abuse their engine cards. BA just tell you that you have to play with the BA engine for sure. With Monarchs, you can utilize cards like Brilliant Fusion. Like, there's still too much stuff on Monarchs. And you saw this from Patrick Hobon's deck. I mean, his deck was really innovative. It really sucks that he didn't topped or won that YCS. But it's a really good start. Norman, I think, did the start, but his deck was kind of bricky. And now Hoban evolved it better. So we will see what people will do. Also,
It's still bricky though.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it is bricky. Because if you draw Ghost Ogre or the Garnet, it just such too many combos out. But yeah.
All right, so
That's the only problem.
fair enough. Okay, so a lot of analysis for Extra Deck Monarchs there. I think that deck's gonna be a really big contender. For me personally, my
Yeah,
prediction is Cosmo. Like Fire King Cosmo, that Fire King Island is absolutely insane. So that's my
maybe
prediction
Fire
for
King
Euros.
Cosmo, yeah. Not standard Cosmo, maybe Fire King Cosmo.
Yeah, yeah,
I
definitely not
haven't
standard
looked into
Cosmo.
that.
And of course, we
Yeah.
still have new support
Something
to
that
see.
can allow the deck to evolve and have more innovation. I mean, like the Cosmo that is right now is a stupid deck, really stupid deck. So if you have more cards that, let's say, if you high in your ceiling, it gives you more options, so more innovation. If they get such cards and they go away from the stupid entity that's like, okay, I normally summon one in my turn and maybe use teleport or call for an extra summon. It's like if they go away from this stuff and they can be more like a real deck, then Cosmo might be able to do so. But I don't think Cosmo will be able to do this.
All right,
Maybe.
so that's our predictions out the way. We're going to go to questions and answers now. So I shall be reading out these questions to the CCG boys. Remember, guys, if you are subscribed to me on YouTube, then you would have had priority for your question to be answered here. So I'll just get straight into it. First question up by Ernst Schultz. He's asking, is there anything apart from Cherry Blossom that you're really excited for coming in Shining Victories?
That's a good question.
I see Themis is
I am-
itching to answer. On you go.
I am really for the Blue Eyes cards because
Wow. Okay,
I
we have an
just-
anime
I
fanboy
just
here.
like. No, not even close. It's really because I played this deck and I have proxied the deck to play it in real life, and I like the feeling of the deck. It's not like Dragon Rulers, which is my favorite deck of the best decks of all time. Don't answer Joshua. Don't say anything to that.
I didn't even
But it's
understand you
more
were
like the deck. Alright. So it's more like the deck has a good potential to be a good deck, and it's just big dragons that create soft locks, and I love playing decks that create soft locks. So yeah. From this set, the
Blue Eyes is
for me.
good, yeah, but only if we get the alternative, like I said, yeah.
Of course.
So
There's no
Themis
reason to
strapping
speak
on the
about the
helmet
deck.
tight there with the floodgate. Love there.
He
No.
loves that helmet.
I said
he loves
soft
his
leg.
helmet.
Come on. I have never helmet. You helmed. All right. I hate floodgates, and I said about soft locks, not about completely locking the opponent. Creating game situations that pseudo soft lock your opponent, like having a giant monster that needs many of your opponent's cards to go over him, and you have it backed up by a maxi. That's a soft lock. And I really like these scenarios. And if you think of it, the entire Dragon Rulers deck was exactly that scenario. You were bringing out good boards and then having cards supporting that. Like Maxi, not cards that were taking cards from your opponent, cards that were having him stop and you were blasting yourself. Yeah. So too much about soft locks. Yeah.
See, that's not how I would define soft locks. When you say soft locks, I would consider a soft lock to be something like Melodious Diva or something silly like that. But Josh, what are you excited for in Shining Victory?
Well, to be honest, I've only looked into Winter Blossom and Blue Eyes so far, so I can't really say much about the rest. I know Rector is in there, right?
Yeah, Rector.
But I think Face Off is not going to be worth it. Just one card for all these cards, so I'm not excited for Rector. Yeah, I have not seen the whole spoiler yet. I only know Blue Eyes and Winter Blossom. Those are pretty good.
I don't think Winter Blossom is a card you can really be excited for. I don't think that's something that really makes people happy to see coming. You know what I mean?
It's like being excited for the release of Mistake or something like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to have that Mistake finally.
Yeah, go back to Necros format and play against Clifford. That was fun. Skill drain and stuff. So next question. I guess really basic. Themis, when and why did you start playing Yu-Gi-Oh?
All right. I originally started playing Yu-Gi-Oh while I was like in the early years of my school when the anime was first aired in Greece, and some friends were like, "Oh, look at these Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, we can play stuff." No, I was playing like with my kids from my street and that stuff. But I started playing again. Really started playing again. On when Ancient Prophecy was released, and I guess actually I guess I started playing more competitively and made like the switch to the pro on 2013 with Euros back then. When I decided I want to travel to every event, before I was like, okay, I want to travel to Europe with my friends because it was cheap and it's not easy to travel to other countries from Greece because you always have to take the airplane to go to everywhere, and airplanes are costly. But yeah, that's
So
it.
you've been playing
So-
since the beginning, yeah?
No, I had a huge break.
Okay.
I wasn't playing in the beginning. I didn't know the rules. I was like, my friends and I were making up stuff from our minds and such stuff. And we were like 9 years old or something like that. I don't even know.
English
if it's,
cards could do anything you wanted them to back then for us.
Yeah, something like that. But it's not playing Yu-Gi-Oh! You're just having the cards in your hand. I started playing in 2012. When was Argent Prophecy released? Back then, 2011, 2012.
Very interesting format to start playing in. What about you, Joshua?
Darkwings, I think it was.
I started like collecting cards and playing with friends, I guess, in like primary school, like the very early days, because like we watched the anime and we thought it was cool. Like, so you just got the cards, right? And I think I played it throughout all my school years, basically. I think I never really stopped. I just started playing more seriously, I guess, when I found out there were stuff like logos or something. Like I got into like the world of the internet, and I found out that there was like a more competitive aspect to it. And so I went to locals, because back then we had locals very close to my house. And so yeah, that's how I got into it more competitively. And I'm like a very competitive person. Like I never have a hobby that I really like don't do competitively, honestly. Like I do pretty much everything competitively, what I like to do. And so I got into it a lot more than the others in my school, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. So moving on, something a little bit more serious. I think this is a kind of okay question. Which deck do you think will be better after this ban list? Do you think Cosmo or PK Fire? Themis.
What kind of question is that? Of course, PK Fire. Of course, I mean, like highest ceiling, and highest ceiling is what you want in the game. And Cosmo, you can't say it's a true deck. You can of course lose to Cosmo, but you can't compare Cosmo to the other decks.
I think PK Fire isn't really the standard anymore. I think people are mostly going for pure Burning Abyss now, rather.
The Kaijus,
It
right?
really depends. You can go to Kaiju, you can even go to Norleras. Norleras is freaking awesome.
Yeah, Josh, what do you think? I guess same boat, Burning Abyss, yeah? BA hype.
Well, I like Burning Abyss more. I don't know if it will be stronger after Cherry Blossom is released. I don't know. Like, I'm certainly not a fan of Cosmo. I don't know, but I think maybe with Fire King Island, you might be right. It might be a little better. Like, with Monarchs being around, like I really like PK Fire. I think the power level of it was really good, but one of its biggest advantages was that it was actually kind of favored against Draco Pals, right? Like the more you had more problems against Monarchs and Cosmo. And because Monarchs and Cosmo are going to be even more popular now, I think that kind of hurts Burning Abyss kind of a lot. Because those are the matchups you are actually afraid of. Like if you wanted to play BA PK last format, it was because it was decent against Pendulum, and like now Pendulum's gone and you have the bad matchups left basically. So I think I'd actually even prefer Cosmo after Winter Blossom comes out.
Yeah. Moving on, let's see. What do you think is the best version of Pendulum, and the best version of Monarch, and the best version of BA?
Should I start?
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, extra deck Monarchs, 100% sure that deck is like the other one is not even a deck.
True.
For Burning Abyss, I really like Burning Abyss Phantom Knight, because Phantom Knight lets you continue playing after you put Beatrice on the board, which is something that with normal Burning Abyss you cannot do, because all your BAs die and you don't really have any plays left. So I would say Burning Abyss Phantom Knight out of a feeling, but I also think that the Kaiju engine is something that's very, very good in Burning Abyss, and I would have to see if that fits together with Burning Abyss, Phantom Knight, and Kaijus. If not, I would maybe even prefer something like pure Burning Abyss paired up with Speedroids and Kaijus. That's also potentially really good, I think.
I don't know if you guys go on duelist grounds, but there's a lot of good discussions there, mostly by Americans. But I saw this really amazing Kaiju pure Burning Abyss deck, and yeah, you just play like 4 Kaijus in the Slumber that you can send with Beatrice.
I like that.
Yeah, and I think
like
it won a regional in Australia, so it looks pretty cool. I think it's a decent contender going forward. Themis, what do you think?
It definitely is, because Kaijus solve a lot of problems of the deck against Cosmo and Monarchs.
Yeah,
definitely.
and the Slumber is really good. One extra card, it has good milling. So I will touch first the pendulums. I think there are some builds floating around abusing Allure, and I don't know if you think of it's like on Mermails when we had the one Ginex Undine with the controller and the Allure, which was always like pot of greed, and the Pendulum deck now has kind of the same scenario. After you resolve your sorcerer, you can search the dark you want and such stuff, or you can abuse it with water, magnetic energy and such stuff. But the thing is that Pendulum is really under a huge reconstruction. But I think the best version of the deck would be the version that will be using the Raccoon Bombuku, Robin's favorite card. Because simply it's a Stratus. It's what helps you having your deck more consistent and gives you access to all the scales you need. For Monarchs, of course, extra deck Monarchs, of course. I won't say anything more about it. Joshua covered it fully, and we said so much stuff about that deck. And for the BA, I think PK Fire is the better, mainly because PK Fire has a huge ceiling, and it allows you to have traps that you don't need to draw them. It's exactly with the same logic with the old Pepe, that you were killing the Ariana and you were setting the traps, you weren't drawing them. You could just play a small number of them, and you search them so you don't lower your ceiling. You won't have them so many times in your hand to lower your ceiling. But still, I really like the Kaiju engine. I think it solves way too many problems. So you could sacrifice your power, not your power actually, your ceiling, to have cards that simplify your game states and allow you to progress way too easier.
Yeah. Personally, I disagree with the Phantom Knight version. I think the Phantom Knights really slow the deck down. I don't think they increase the ceiling because you're adding cards that are really shit to draw, like Cloak and Gloves. The only good one to draw is Boots. And yeah, searching a trap is cool, but you're searching Fiendish Chain, you know? It's not really, like, great to search Fiendish Chain in 2016, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Actually,
I
you're
agree.
searching a Fiendish Chain that also is a wall to not die, or higher. It's all right. I'm gonna use something that Hoban said on 2014. So when he was explaining his BA deck that he won I think he won a YCS and then an ARG. I'm not sure about the YCS. For sure he won the ARG back then.
I'm sure he won a YCS with BA, yeah.
All right. He was playing 3 Karma Cats, and his reason, or Phoenix Ring Blast, I don't remember which of these two was. It was like they discard traps. And the reason he said he liked the cards was because they were a defense, and they were also allowing you to progress your game state. And that's exactly what the Fogblade does. It's a defense, but also allows you to progress your game state after you have done your Beatrice to use the PK engine. And exactly what Joshua said earlier, that the PK allow you to play more if you have Beatrice on the field.
Yeah, there's actually something else to it. Also, it's not only that you can put more stuff on the board when you have Beatrice, there's also that one thing I noticed very often when I was playing pure Burning Abyss, that you have nothing to send to actually plus off of Beatrice, because usually you don't want a Skarm Search because you already have everything. You don't always need Farfa or Alik, and using Sir and Graf is kind of useless because like everything you would summon would kind of die. So the only way you could do it is if you detach Dante and bring it back with Sir. But like Graf is useless, Rhino is useless. Everything of these graveyard effects is kind of useless once Beatrice on the board. That's the only advantage of Phantom Knights, because they give you really good targets to send with Beatrice, like really, really good, and they allow you to OTK. But to be honest, I would also rather try out the version with Kaijus and Speedroids. I like that a lot in theory.
Okay. I think that's pretty much it. Jerry's asking, how good do you really think Norlarel, whatever, the BA, the new BA hype thing? Yeah, that thing. How good do you really think that is?
It's not.
I think it is. It's to my mind, it's the same thing as the Kaiju engine. It just solves way too many of your problems, but it's not that good as the Kaiju, because the Kaiju you just have the slumber, and when you mill it, you can search the Kaijus, but Norleras you have to draw it. But it's like it's one of the cards that you see that, and then you realize that there's also a potential in the deck to innovate more cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like Norleras because I'm a fan of the card, but that's also far. Yeah, maybe it could be abused in the future. I will definitely try it, but I think that's all. It's just cool. It's not great or something like that.
All right. I think that pretty much does it. We've been talking for an hour now. It was a pleasure to have you guys on. Thank you for joining me. For those of you guys watching on YouTube, I shall be leaving in the description all the details of the Complexity Card Gaming stream and Facebook page, and what else did I mention? YouTube channel? Did I say YouTube?
Yeah, everything basically.
Yeah. So you guys can follow these guys on social media, keep up to date. I hope this has been a good discussion for you guys to get an insight from some of the best players, helping you understand this new ban list going forward. So I hope you guys all benefited from that. Any closing statements or things you guys want to add before we end this?
Well, it was fun. Thanks for having us, I guess.
Yeah, exactly that. It was fun for having us. I will be delighted to do this in the future again.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining me, and see you guys next time on YouTube. All right, awesome.